Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Silverline's Wednesday Night Wham! Hosted by Scott Wakefield!
Wakefield.
Evening. Hey, I was just about to say, I think we've got the bugs worked out. And then maybe not. We are on Discord tonight, and you are joining us, and we are thankful for that. It is Wednesday night. This is Wednesday Wham. I'm your host, Scott Wakefield. Thank you for being here. We're going to keep working these bugs out. I hope tonight goes just a little bit better than last week, but we appreciate you joining the fun while we...
Whoa!
It's like a roller coaster.
I think John's got in a fight with somebody, sounds like.
John is in the midst of an epic battle.
That's what he's doing.
He just pulled us out from his Jimmy John's wrapper.
Hey, this is Silverline, and we're gonna talk comic book. We've got a special guest coming up in about a half an hour, 20 minutes or so, and I'll tell you who that is. Stay tuned. But before we get rolling, I want to tell everybody that our live streams are brought to you by the Daytona Beach Comic Book Convention coming up in September 18th and 19th. Head over to their Facebook page when the show is over, and make sure you like and follow and let them know if you're going to be there or not. We would love for you to support them. Go over to their website as well, Daytona Beach Comic Book Convention, September this year. And thank you, as always, to all of our Kickstarter supporters. You should be seeing your copies of Friar Rush and, totally blanked on... I had it written. What do we just have? Friar Rush and somebody.
Was it Twilight Grim? I think
Twilight Grim.
Twilight Grim.
Yes.
Twilight Grim number 2. Yes, those will be in the mail very soon. I don't know if Tommy has an update that he can give us.
Yeah, we actually got the orders have been put into Gablam. I started processing files. Printed a couple of things, so we'll hopefully here in the next within the week we will have it all printed and ready to go.
Excellent. And my friendly reminder, mark your calendars for May 13th, because Steam Patriots will be coming to Kickstarter along with the award-winning Divinity series. You'll get number 2 of that series, so if you've been waiting to find out where that story goes, you'll be able to find out very soon. May 13th through 30th on Kickstarter. Now, it is our tradition to say hello, introduce ourselves, and what we're working on, what we do for Silverline. So I'll start. I am Scott Wakefield, and I'm the co-creator and co-writer of Steam Patriots that will be on Kickstarter. And I also help with publicity. Here. So if you've got a show, a podcast, you do reviews and so on and so forth, and you'd like to review some of our titles, help us get the word out, we would love to talk. And we will likewise help get the word out about what you have going on in your world. And I am in, snowy Western New York right now. Snowy. Yes.
So you're back home.
Yes, I'm back home after a whirlwind trip to South Carolina. And
can you see me this week?
Yeah, you're supposed to say you're supposed to pretend like you didn't hear him.
Oh yeah, huh? Last week I was in Pennsylvania, and I swear they were messing with me. My connection wasn't so great. So thanks, guys. Always feeling the love from all of you. I'm gonna go down the line. From my screen, I've got Tim, then Dean, then Brent, and then Tommy. And is that everybody that's here with us tonight? Yeah. So Tim,
you
say
suck.
hello, and what?
He can hear you.
I can hear. Tim, go for it. Then Dean, you're next.
I am Tim GK. I am the associate editor at Silverline. What's my title again? I'm also the writer-creator of Wolf Hunter, and I help run our craft blog series. I am also the producer on our Wednesday night show, and I do other stuff around.
That's good. That's perfect. And everything you do is just fantastic.
I'm also from Oregon.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Dean,
Yeah,
then Brent.
what everybody doesn't know in the background that's actually listening to us is while we're trying to talk, we're all trying to get all the technology worked out
in Discord.
Yeah,
Figure it out.
The aptly named platform.
Right.
Discord.
That's right.
My name is Dean Zachary. I'm a co-creator and writer of the upcoming Silverline book, Silver Blade. And I do the art and I do the writing. And I enjoy talking on Wednesday nights with you guys about geeky comic stuff. And I am in Arkansas right now, where it is kind of cold here as well. Not snowy, though.
Not
it's just
snowy.
nice and 65 and clear and gorgeous.
High 70s here.
Nice.
Cold. We're going to keep moving southward and say hello, Brent. You're muted, Brent. Brent. Yeah.
Dude, I just said every pertinent thing, so I'll just give a refuse. Hi, everybody. I'm Brent Larson. I am the writer and creator of the Silverline book, Kalis, and I'm also the writer-creator on the upcoming book, Cape Town. I'm here in Orlando, Florida, where things are so freaking normal. I just want to kill everybody.
Oh my.
Wow.
Where things are normal. Great. Okay, Brent. Thank you. Hey, and you're getting your little glitch. Is you're glitchy on just my screen, or is it for everybody?
It's for everybody.
Brent is kind of chopping.
Okay.
You're chopping too,
Sorry,
Scott.
He's
Don't think you're not chopping, Scott. You're chopping too. So
we're in a still action right now.
Okay. Someday we'll figure this out. Okay,
mine's fine, so I don't know.
I'm going to go over to John, and then Tommy, you're going to round it out.
Oh,
John?
no.
Say hello.
Hey everybody, John Metych here. I am the writer and creator and letterer and editor of Sniper and Rook, which will be wrapping up Volume 1 with issue 12 this year, and new things coming soon through Silverline with Sniper and Rook, Ripper, and the rest of the gang.
Yes, excellent. And you are over in Illinois, correct?
Yeah, rub it in. I'm in the wonderful, and I say that in quotes sarcastically, state of Illinois. And I'm also usually in the state of confusion, too, especially with my tech setup tonight. So,
Hey, and you are coming in like loud and clear and smoother than ever for me.
Yeah,
all right. The Wi-Fi I stole from the neighbors is... Wait, never mind.
oh, wow. It's working, man. It's working.
Sounds looking good. Looking great. And then back to Florida. Tommy, say hello.
Hello. Oh, you wanted
Thank
more
you,
than that? Yeah. My name is Thomas Florimonte Jr. I am also in Orlando, Florida, where, like we were saying, like Brent was saying, it is kind of back to normal a little bit. Still, people are wearing masks, but it's still kind of it's just gotten crazy that it's so normal. But it was 85 today, I think.
Nice.
And was thinking about going swimming and all that kind of cool stuff. And I hear my wife, somebody laughing at me in the other room because they hear me talking. So I got to be quiet. Shh. But anyway, so for Silverline, I work on the books Trumps, which we are now working on the second half. And I'm working with C. Michael on the Rejects book. And currently, what we're seeing on the screen now, I'm inking Champion and Miss Fury book. That's with over Mr. Pete Clinton over on the Sunday show. And I'm working with Mr. Dean on Silverblade, which is we can talk about the piece that I was started the ink last week, and then it's all done now. So here's the art if anybody wants to check it out.
Looks awesome.
And I'm also co-owner of the comic book printing company Kablam Digital Printing, and I also do my own comics under the Inferno Studios publishing empire. And okay, that's it. I'll quit talking now.
That's plenty.
That's not too much.
And you sleep when you find time.
I don't sleep.
But he does go by our potential partner, Del Taco.
Oh,
Please
that's
send
right.
us stuff.
Wow.
Del
How far?
Taco.
How far? What Del Taco? How far north do they go? Are they a regional? In
They
Florida?
go, for me, it's about 500 feet north from my office.
No, I mean,
Is that what you meant?
Here, we don't have.
Oh, I don't know.
We used to have one that's like 3/4 of a mile away from my place out here.
Tim, we should see if they want to be a sponsor. We'll talk about Del Taco.
Yeah, that's the thing. We
You know?
Scott,
See what happens.
yeah, Scott does publicity. We just need that Del Taco publicity.
Del Taco, yes. I mean, they're getting free publicity right now. My
Yeah.
goodness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just throw us a bone. Give us some tacos. All we want is just, I don't know, 10 tacos a piece on
Yeah,
Wednesday
it'd be
night.
Whoa. Yes. Bring it.
I don't know if I want tacos in the mail from Florida.
You know, the only thing about Del Taco that now I'm gonna mess up our sponsorship here because I'm gonna say this, but
Oh,
they
no.
serve French fries.
Yes.
Why does Del Taco serve French fries? It doesn't make any sense.
Because they can.
It's the
No,
same
they can't.
reason why a seafood place will occasionally serve a steak. It's for the unbelievers.
Yes.
But that's for the surf and turf. See, that
But
kind of
that's-
goes.
but
But
that's
there's
also-
no French fry and tacos.
Well,
Who
that's
does
how-
that?
Well, so that's how you get your fusion food, though, because we do have a taco house run by a immigrant family from great Central Mexico, and they have a what's called the burrito taco, which has French fries in it because it's
Oh,
it's
that sounds
it's
disgusting.
it's great.
Well, it sounds good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Del
my
Taco
favorite.
does put fries in some of their burritos, which I don't know if that's real. I can't call that Tex-Mex. That sounds like
I mean,
mix-ups.
at this point, all food that gets is fusion at this point. Unless you get something that's like very traditional, it's fusion in some way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or
Well, the
like
cool thing about it is I
kangaroo
can get them to swap the fries out for chips and queso, and they always look at me like, "Why do you want to do that?" And I'm like, "Because I don't want French fries with my taco." So-
Say, Tommy, I'm gonna give you something that may concern you.
okay.
Next to, not next to, but adjacent to this taco house is also a Japanese restaurant. So,
yeah.
you know, getting a sushi roll with your tacos, you know, it's great.
Wow. Wow.
I love both. I don't know if I want them at the same time.
You know, is
Now,
there
see,
any,
I can, but
To
that's a
round
whole
that out,
different.
Tim.
That's a different building. You know, that's not the same building. You know, it's they're serving something different. I mean, that's like
but if they could combine them, you know, I would eat there much more regularly.
I would eat there if they added a gyro.
Oh yeah.
Right? So then
Oh.
all three,
Kind of
wow,
like a
you have
soft
Asia,
taco,
Europe,
right?
and Central America represented. That'd be
Yes.
awesome.
okay.
And then put gravy on it all and make it American.
Oh,
right?
wow. More cheese.
Is that
more
like
cheese.
the sign of like comic book creatives that when we talk about our favorite places to eat, we basically are describing the food court at the mall?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a little something for everyone.
Yeah.
My
Okay.
favorite line, like my niece said this years ago. We went out to eat. Oh, I love, as for the buffet, the Chinese buffet. I love the Chinese French fries. Yes, so
Ah,
Mhm.
she was like 6. She would get the pizza, the chicken wings, and the French fries when we went.
did
to
you make her sit at a different table?
I don't know. I don't know her.
Yeah,
But
who's
yes,
this girl?
Combo. We have up here. I don't know. Again, I don't know how far it goes, but it's not in New York. There's one just across the border in Pennsylvania. A Sheetz gas station. SHEETZ
Yes.
or Z for our Canadian fans. And
Eh?
I'm
Ooh,
sure
you
there
speak,
are others.
You speak Canadian.
They-
That's cool.
I drive my Nissan and my Mazda. So,
What are you talking about?
thank you. Okay, so we're gonna get angry mail. They're gonna
we are.
from
We're gonna get,
Canadians.
From
They're
a
gonna
Canadian?
say not to be impolite, but
We should not make fun of the land of Carly Rae Jepsen, one of my favorites, and
No,
the
you're-
biggest state in the union. Come on,
Yeah.
look at the size of that thing.
right?
wait. Remind me about just a second. We'll go back to that. But so these sheets. I'm sure there are other conglomerates that do this, but Sheets does it really well. The screen where that you can like start with a pizza and then put ice cream on it and then put jalapenos in it and then put, like I said, gravy on it and put it in a blender, like boop 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 boop. And Brent, you're saying like any from pizza to a sub to, actually there's not sushi, but chicken sandwiches to burgers to French fries. It really is like a wonderland, especially for my children. They just want to like mash the whole screen and get everything they can. And I wish there was one closer. If there was one closer, I would probably weigh 200 more pounds than I do. But Don, has anyone seen? You know how people say Canada's America's hat? Have you seen the graphic of
No, I never
America? What's that? You've never heard anyone say that?
That's pretty
Ever heard
awesome.
that?
though.
That's
I
pretty.
kinda like that.
Now I can't help but look at it that way.
There's
Yeah,
one though
Holzer.
that I'm sure a Canadian made it that says America is Canada's pants.
Yes.
And it's got Florida down at the,
Oh.
Okay.
the
All right.
thing, and it's all
Yep.
blurred out.
We're gonna lose sponsors.
Florida
now.
state motto is "We didn't choose the shape, so quit bugging us."
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, we love you, Canada. Yes, and I haven't been able to. It's right over.
So what is Key West
right over
then?
there.
If never mind. Let's go.
Don't even want to. Yeah, I don't really want to go there. We're gonna lose all the kids. Yeah.
I know, Canada. We love you. We love you.
I mean, with the amount of jokes he can get away
well-
with Shrek, like being PG-13 as a publisher, I think he can get away with more if he wanted to.
Probably could. Yes, we could.
Well, folks, viewers out there, I said I would reveal who our special guest is, and he's coming up in just a few moments. We
If he
will
can
be
figure out how to get
introducing-
connected.
Yeah, I don't know if he's having trouble. I think somebody out there hopefully is handling that.
I believe
We should be here in a few minutes.
Is
Okay,
Roland ushering
we will have
him in as we speak?
Mr. And I'm going to mispronounce his first name. Dean, you told me
Marat.
what it was, or
Marat.
John. Marat. All right, and when he shows up, John, you want to do the honors of saying hello?
It would be my honor.
Tell
Yeah,
the
my
world.
pleasure.
All right. So, folks, when he's here, I see we might have Roland. I don't know if he's joining us or he'll be in the background. But Marat has a great resume. I don't want to ruin it just yet. We're going to let him talk about himself. And if you have questions out there for him, feel free to ask them. And if you have other questions about for us, it doesn't have to be always on topic because we never stay on topic. But if there are comic book questions or pop culture questions or industry questions, I'm a newbie to the industry, but we've got veterans of the industry here that can answer questions and have a wealth of knowledge and an endless font of wisdom we can get from our Silverliners here. So
I'm just waiting on Marat to get him in.
Okay.
Is that
What
the
was that?
dulcet tones of Roland?
That was weird.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah.
Is that you, Lord?
Papa, can you
And I'm-
hear me?
And I'm popping out again.
Okay. Every now and then,
So
Roland
weird.
I'm gonna claw by my cat.
terrify us all as a disembodied voice. Awesome.
So
Did y'all-
yes,
Did
folks
y'all
out there, you
hear
might
that?
hear
That was so
Roland's voice.
weird. Yeah.
Wow.
Confession, I'm still now like 3, maybe 4 episodes of Falcon and Winter Soldier behind. I'm sorry,
Wow.
everybody.
Season finale this week.
I don't know
Yeah.
what. Oh, really?
You want
what
me to
else?
tell you about it?
No.
Oh,
I was distraught when Falcon died. I mean, like, oh,
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
And the
but
fact,
luckily, the neighbor picked up the wings and they fit, and so
yeah.
and then
she was
started
able
singing
to
that
fly.
song. I believe I can fly. Yeah,
Yeah, so that worked out. Yeah.
that's why I don't do karaoke.
What else is new and good out there in the TV land or comic book world or general entertainment? Anybody have any good recommendations?
Invincible's
Is
great.
anybody- Has anybody
I cannot
seen?
wait to start watching that.
Have you guys seen Godzilla versus Kong? Anyone? Because we didn't.
My wife and I watched it over the weekend finally.
Okay, what'd you think? Don't think. What'd you think?
I liked it just because I like that kind of silliness, but I thought it was really bad, most of it, but it was fun.
Yeah,
it was
fun,
pretty
right?
fun. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, the stuff where they were doing all the fighting on the boats in the water, I was just like, golly, these guys weigh so much they'd be sinking these boats. So how are these boats still floating? And then how are they standing up in the ocean that's so deep? I don't know how they're doing that. That's really cool how they can float like that. Yeah, no, but it was good. It was
Surprise
fun.
reef. My plan is to watch.
They had little floaties on or something. I don't know how they were doing it.
My plan is to hit it this weekend with
the ducky.
Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
that is this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm expecting
Get
some
over
ice
here.
cream there. My name is
Sub-Zero.
I watched I don't know who there was some YouTube video, I could find it if you guys want to know, where a guy made the little gauntlet thing where it shot out the chain with the thing, and he was like, and then he almost killed himself because it stuck into something. He yanked it back, and it flew back out of space, and it had this big barb on the end of it.
Yep.
It's like, man, you're gonna kill yourself, you moron.
When cosplay goes wrong.
Yeah.
But it was cool. It shot out, like 30 feet worth of.
That's impressive.
Worth of chain. Yeah, it was pretty neat.
That's cool, man.
Zero was my.
He almost killed himself, but yeah.
My Sega Genesis go-to that my buddy Steve hated. I would do at freeze, uppercut, freeze, uppercut.
Yes.
Freeze, uppercut.
Awesome.
And he hated.
Did he at least throw like a roundhouse kick in there occasionally?
No, why?
Yeah, Sub-Zero is my favorite too, though.
Yep.
Freeze, uppercut.
Yep.
There was a video, and this was years ago, early days of YouTube, that somebody. Because when you play, you try to do the combo at the end, and you'd always get it wrong. So you just go.
Yeah.
Right. So he made videos of poorly executed Mortal Kombat moves. It was pretty hilarious. That's an old video. I don't even know what you'd search for now.
Right.
Did anybody ever play Raiden with and throw lightning? And...
Yes.
Yes.
I loved his just the fact that he had a full map charge that was. Screamed super loud, set off if your opponent was wearing earphones or anything, it deafened them.
That was
this all makes me want to break out my 1995 MK soundtrack.
Yeah,
yes,
right.
I still have that disc.
Fun.
That was a fun movie.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
Wasn't the Party of Five guy on that actor?
Party of Five.
What's his name?
No, are you thinking Scott Wolf?
Yes.
Or the guy from Lost? Because they both were in Party of Five from what I've been told.
No, not the guy from Lost. There's another guy that was on one of those, maybe it was Dawson's Creek or one of those shows that, he's one of those actors that I feel like disappeared in the late 90s.
I don't know. Actually, I didn't watch either of those.
No,
I'm trying to think of who played Johnny Cage, but I don't remember.
Right.
Did I ever tell you guys my Mortal Kombat 2 story?
No.
Do you guys want to hear my Mortal Kombat 2?
Well, you
want to hear my Mortal Kombat 2 story?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So years ago, I was a program chair at a technology school, right? Computer networking, hardware, graphic design, stuff like that. And I would usually take the introductory classes, hardware, operating systems, to get, the students ready, to make sure that they're ready for the next classes, kind of set the good educational foundation. And I had this guy in class, also named John, good name, good guy, who showed me some pictures of him doing cosplay, early 2000s, right? And early mid 2000s. And I'm like, damn. So he was doing Jax cosplay, or so I thought. And I was like, damn, you make a damn good looking Jax. Well, if anybody remembers Midway was based in Chicago. My student, John Parrish, was Jax.
Oh wow!
Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3. He was in my class. And then I didn't realize this for like a decade. And we're still friends on Facebook. And so like, we have a place out here called Galloping Ghost, which is like this huge arcade with hundreds of vintage arcade machines. And they occasionally do Mortal Kombat reunions. And I was like, I saw it. I'm like, that's John. And so like, I sent him a note. I'm like, why didn't you tell me you were Jax? He's like, I did. I'm like, but it was cosplay. So yeah, that was really awesome to find out. I was like, really damn, cool. He looks like a good Jax. Well, because he is Jax. So that was really, really cool.
Very nice.
That's cool.
I can't remember the system, but we had something that had Killer in it. Killer Instinct.
Killer Instinct, yeah.
Game?
Oh, so N64.
Yeah, N64, and then Xbox, and then.
Yeah, but so we had it in my wife. She's listening to me now. She was really, really good at it, and she would beat us all. And so we were trying to figure out all the the up down 1 2 1 2 right switch flip over backwards all that kind of crap. Yeah, and she would just whoop our butts all, and so we all just quit. And so finally we were like, "Tell us what you're doing." She goes, "I'm just pressing all the buttons."
Yeah.
And she got so great.
Yeah.
Who'd she play as? Do you know?
Who did you like
Jago. Jago is my good one for
She's laughing her butt off over there. She's over here. She says, "I don't know who I played."
Yeah,
but she would win every time. And we were like, "How are you doing that?" And she's like, "I don't know. I'm just pressing all the buttons as fast as I can." Yeah. And we're like, "Oh God!" And so we'd have a little cheat sheet written down. We got it out of some game magazine of how to play. And she's like, "I don't know. I'm just."
I got really into Killer Instinct when I think it was 2011. They put out the reboot of it, and it's such a weird game. Dean and I were kind of talking about this earlier, but when you're creating pitches of stuff, you think of something that's similar, and then you give it how it's a twist, and that's how you sell people because people want something similar. Where Killer Instinct feels like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, but the whole mechanic of it is whereas the other games you want to combo, Killer Instinct is all about combo breakers. How can you end another person's combo? So it's really
was that it?
Yeah. So that's the weird thing. So I had a friend who was much better at me at every other fighting game, but then Killer Instinct, I just learned how to do like moderate level combo breakers, and he hated it. He's like, "No, that's not what a fighting game is." I'm like, "Oh no, that's what this one is."
So what is it better? Yeah.
Well,
did you ever play
Scott Wolf in Double Dragon? Sorry, it was Double Dragon.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I was going to ask you, Tim, did you ever play Ninja Gaiden?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How awesome was that game? Right?
So good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What platform was that? I don't even remember.
I believe it was on
NES.
It was on NES, and then also came out on PlayStation and Xbox as the series continued and became more of a PlayStation favorite.
Right.
But yeah, Ryu Hayabusa is just one of the best character designs for ninjas ever.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion.
And of course, he came over to the Dead or Alive line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because if you're a developer, that's what you got to do. If you have your weird crossovers, because money.
Yeah, because money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the fighting games beyond Mortal Kombat on the Sega, my brother was always a million times better than me at those, and sports games, which big surprise me in sports.
Sure.
Tommy, that's where I would just mash buttons and like pick a play and then hope for the best and usually lose. But what was the Nintendo game?
Trying to play it right. You were trying to learn how to do what it was, and it's just better off just to press
exactly.
a button.
I didn't no understanding what I was doing. There was a Nintendo hockey game. What was the one where you could fight?
Blades of Steel?
Yes, I think that's it. Yes.
Loved it.
My games were always the racing games.
That was before the Will Ferrell movie, right?
Yes.
That was Blades of Glory, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Flip on YouTube says they love the Marvel vs. Capcom series of games, which I have also loved.
Oh, absolutely.
We've talked about that on stream a couple times. Of course, the iconic "I'm going to take you for a ride" track, which once you hear the verse once, it's stuck in your head for the next 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, since I don't have to worry about anybody coming to my house to steal it or anything because it's heavy as heck. One of my prized arcade things is a
Oh,
Oh, I think he just wants to articulate.
no, that's it.
John,
You have to get more hot dogs into John's internet.
John, we lost you, man.
the more
You froze
excited
out.
he gets, it can't handle all of John's bandwidth
Yeah.
that he's putting out.
Mhm.
All I've got is a blank screen for him. It's like in one of those
John.
movies where someone just gets knocked off by someone who's in their house and their screen just goes blank.
Turns
Wow.
off.
Internet in Chicago is based off of Chicago-style hot dogs, so unless John eats one every 5 minutes, his internet
He's
turns off.
gotta tune,
Yeah, John, you got to come back because you're the one that
deep-
got all the
deep dish
information.
John? What are you gonna say? And he's got to introduce our guest.
Wow.
He's the one that's knows all the stuff.
Well, we'll make Marat just wait when he shows up.
There you go. You can't come back on until John comes back.
John's here. Okay, and then has everybody watched the trailer for the next Marvel? One of the next Marvel. I can't keep straight which one's coming out next. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Yes.
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 Talking about that one at work today, and I hadn't had a chance to get.
I haven't looked at it yet. How's it look?
It looks good. It's the yeah. I like. It looks like they're approaching it kind of the same way they approached. I would guess either. The best example, I guess, would be Doctor Strange, where it's a psychedelic movie first and then a hero movie. This one looks like it's a kung fu movie and a hero movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes. It looks really good.
Yeah.
wow. So has it got Shang-Chi in it and all the people we want to see, or no?
Does anyone except him?
Yeah.
And he was in the title, so I assumed he was.
He's somebody's own character. Yeah. Well, I believe we saw. Did see a few people, but I believe there's a lot of costume changes because it's a very modern interpretation of it. So there's a lot of costume changes. But it looks like we do end up going to Kunlun, yes, and there is a hard change in environment, which I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out.
So
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
this is ignorant Scott here,
Yeah.
and how MCU is going to adapt the comic books. Was the groundwork laid in Iron Man 1 for this? 10 Rings?
Marvel's already said that all the groundwork that we think is laid has been kind of hit or miss because they didn't know they're making an MCU when they did Iron Man 1 and 2.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
There's for sure going to be some sort of callbacks just because everyone in some ways had an interaction with another character in the Marvel Universe. So
Because they flat out talk about the 10 Rings in Iron Man 1. But then they totally on the Mandarin.
Mhm.
So
yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to do a hard work on the Mandarin, but I'd almost hope we did do.
Well, did
Say that
anyone
again.
else watch the Iron Fist TV series?
no.
I saw like half of it.
Yeah,
and
about
I
the same
think
as
I might have
Brent.
seen the other half and forgot. So
Yeah, I just wondered. I know there were some Kunlun references,
Yeah.
and it wasn't particularly their best effort.
Mhm.
But I just wondered if they set up anything for the Ten Rings in that show. I don't recall.
I don't recall. Marat is trying to get in now, so we're getting
good.
that figured out. Yep.
Oh, right, John,
Okay,
you ready?
Awesome. Yes. Go, John.
Born ready.
We're still working that out, so I'm not sure if he's
Is he in it?
not
I
yet.
don't see him yet.
No dead air, people. No dead air.
Never
all right?
dead
Let's,
air.
Never
have you
did
guys
air.
seen the
Dead air
trailer
kills.
for? Have you guys seen the trailer for MODOK yet? It's a
MODOK.
Hulu show. It's animated. It looks
Oh, yeah.
really funny. It's animated. It's about MODOK, but his what is it? It's on Marvel's Facebook page, I think, or something like that.
Really?
But
Wow.
he's like he's the head of AIM, but he's also like married and he has kids, and him and his wife are
Okay.
fighting all the time. And yeah, it looks pretty funny.
That sounds
So-
funny. Yeah.
It's gonna be a Hulu show. Something like that.
What is Ten Rings on Disney Plus? Is that where that?
It was going to go to theaters first and then to Disney. But
Yeah.
so just,
Okay.
we are doing a hard retcon on Mandarin, so it is going to be
Okay.
the whole thing of which it's going to be interesting to see how all that works out. If we get maybe setting up for future Marvel Kung Fu First in the future, if we get the Thunderer in at some point near the end.
Well, yeah, I mean, they'd
Yeah.
have to reference Davos.
Yeah.
And, you know, the man who trained Iron Fist and all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine too. Would they take it through the door of the immortal Iron Fist, where we have a lot more fantasy into that world? I haven't seen it, so I'm just asking if it
Right.
looks real fantasy.
It looks a little more. It looks a bit more fantasy. It looks like we're starting out grounded, kind of like Iron Man, Black Panther world, and then when he transferred into Kunlun, it turns very, very fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
And it looks like also we haven't confirmed other character names yet because of the costume changes. So there are a couple characters which I think I have some ideas who they might be, but there's some very drastic costume changes going into the movie, which I think is interesting.
Okay.
I just want to know when Fin Fang Foom is going to make an appearance in any Marvel movie.
Yes.
That's all I care about.
Or I mean, what about the dragon that Danny Rand had to put his fists into? I mean, Dragon of Shulao, you know, that gave him his powers, and I mean, there's so much fantasy in there. You could really go.
Yeah.
Especially, well, look, jumping to DC for a moment. If you've watched the Zack Snyder 4-hour epic, which I did, dude, it's like the Lord of the Rings of superhero movies.
Yeah.
And I think Marvel could do the same with their Kung Fu world.
Yeah.
If they wanted to, you know,
Absolutely.
go real fantasy with it.
Yeah.
Mickey Clausen is on Facebook. He says he used to share a classroom with the director of Shang-Chi, Destin Daniel Cretton. He used to teach video production at the school he teaches at currently.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Does anyone know what else he's done? The director?
Let's see. Chris, now that there's not much prepared for, so I'm blanking on everything now that we're on the spot.
Like we got a Johnny Cage call out here on Facebook as well. My buddy Dave Ricker, going back to fighting games here.
Let's see there.
Oh wow, he did Just Mercy.
He did Just Mercy. Yeah, he did Just Mercy. The Shack. He did The Shack.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Let's see there. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like we're kind of getting into his big three. Now it's. He did Short Term 12, which I know people have seen, but I've not seen myself. Yeah. Okay.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just Mercy was great.
Well,
also, the other trailer that has occurred is the What If.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Did you drop a date for that yet?
Let me use the Google machine as the producer.
I wish there was a way to know.
Look something up.
What If? First episode date
Well,
sometime this year.
Forward to that first What If, because
Yeah.
voice acting by Haley Atwell.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan.
Oh.
I changed the speaking setting on my GPS to UK British, and I've named my GPS Haley in honor of Haley Atwell. So
Nice.
And if my girlfriend's watching this, she's like, "Really, you're talking about her again?" Because this comes over from dinner last night. Yeah.
Look, I get it.
Are you on the call, John? Because I just see the two little dots flipping around.
Oh, you're funny.
I
hope you're joking.
I can see him.
I think Brent. Well, Brent's internet may be having issues because Brent is our max headroom tonight.
Oh, somebody's gotta. It's like
Yeah, I've been seeing very pixelated Scott and Brent, and so I was hoping that it was.
Well, John, you're also cutting out now.
Yeah,
Not
see, the On my
I'm
screen,
actually
I
on
look
it from my
fantastic.
browser. I wonder if that's my problem. Next week I'll
Oh, you're
use
on.
the app.
If you're on browser, that might be an issue because it has to go through different processing.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
We need whoever is running the
I
internet
did
to go
do
start
the app
cranking
this
it up
time.
again.
Do we have a status on our guest?
Let's see there. Let's check. We're still in. We're still in onboarding.
Okay.
He's doing his TSA pre-proof.
So, folks out there, thank you for bearing with us. We are just chatting amongst ourselves, and we would love for you to join in. We are watching Thomas's art. He is doing Champion and Miss Fury, correct?
Yep, this is
Yes.
page number 13.
All right.
So-
Yep. Everyone out there, count yourself as somebody special. You see our comic books in the process. You see them being made before they're in anyone's hands. You are seeing very rare footage of how a comic book comes to life, the birthing of a comic book, and
If you even start talking placenta of a comic book, I am out.
As it leaves Tommy's
A
womb.
very messy process.
Okay. You know.
The
I
miracle
do have
of
a
comic
question
book
to
life.
ask about the what y'all are seeing. So when I'm spinning the paper around like this,
Yes.
essentially when I'm
To
inking and stuff,
hypnotize
is that making you guys sick?
That's
No. I think, yeah.
a little.
It is?
A little.
Okay, a little bit.
And
Because I mean, literally, when I'm inking on paper, of course I can't zoom in on paper, but when I do spin the pages a lot. People are always like, "Why are you spinning the thing so much? Why can't you just hold the paper down and just draw?" Like, no, I tend to.
well,
I tend
instead
to
of
turn the
instead of
paper a
turning
lot.
your hand over, right? Instead of turning your hand this way, it's easier to turn the page, right? Just like
Sure.
you would with a piece of paper. Your hand goes this way much more naturally than this.
Exactly. Yeah, it's that natural arc that you get.
I know
Christ left-handed.
artists. I mean, I draw stick people.
Yeah.
Folks, we've got our guest coming up, and we don't know if we're having technical difficulties or what, but Marat Mychaels should be joining us very soon to talk about his career in comic books. We're going to let him talk, and we know he's got irons in the fire that we want to allow him to promote. And if you have questions out there about his career, careers in the comic book world and the publishing industry, and what's it like to work in the comic book world, have those questions ready, and I'm sure he'll be happy to answer them. I'm not the guy to answer those questions. I am not in the comic book world, but also we've got other guys folks that are publishing and making comics and arting and creating stories. So we always welcome your questions. And if you're not watching this live, toss those questions up there. We do our best to keep an eye on questions that come after the fact. And please share
There's a
these with
hand,
all your-
another hand.
Yeah, another
Wow.
big
Yeah.
hand. Share
No
these
hand
big
then.
hand. Don't forget to share these videos with your friends and tell them,
Hey,
hey,
another one. Another
these
hand.
are really cool videos. Oh, and
On the other
Um,
hand,
don't forget
Uh-huh.
that these videos, this Wednesday night and Sunday night, they are being made into podcast. They're being condensed down. All of
Podcast.
the-
What's a podcast?
It is like a radio show on the internet that you can watch
What's a radio?
or listen to. It's all of our voices.
Isn't that what we're doing now? What's the
In
difference
one
between
recording-
what we're doing now in this podcast thing? Isn't this a podcast? What is this?
Condensed,
Can people-
you know what? I
Hey
can't.
guys, I'm interrupting you now.
Woo!
What?
Hey, Roland.
Hey,
weather?
I really wanted to hear what a podcast was.
I'm sorry. Our guest has arrived, and he's
Sorry.
turning on it. He's turning on his camera.
That I did. Why am I not?
So you hear him.
That is the same
So-
question we've been asking.
So say hi to everyone, Marat.
Hi, everyone.
hey Marat,
Hey, Marat.
How's it going?
I got it. Can you see me now?
SVH,
There he
yes.
is.
Hey!
Yes, he's there.
This is
Awesome.
why I still do stuff old school and I'm not digital. This is where how old I can be shows.
This is our. We're still trying to figure out Discord too and having all kinds of problems.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah. That's when I get into these things, I'm so lost. It's crazy.
Hey, Marat, we were going to let John give you an introduction, just like you're accepting a major award.
Okay.
And so, John, take it away.
All right, Marat, good to see you, my friend. Long time no see. So everybody, welcome to Marat Mychaels. He is a industry veteran with decades and decades of experience, from small press to his own press to the first Image rookie when he took over and did the art on Brigade back in the day. He's worked at Marvel, he's worked at DC, he's worked at Image, he worked for himself. Marat, the folks we were talking earlier, video games. We were talking about Mortal Kombat coming up this week, and I know that you have a Mortal Kombat super tie-in that you'll probably want to talk about with the work that you're currently doing through your publishing house, Counterpoint Comics.
Yes.
Hey, that was a good introduction. Maybe one of the best I've had.
Thank you, John.
How are
You know, you could just take me wherever you go and I could do the introductions, you know?
Yes.
I know, but then I get jealous of all the hair you still have, so I don't know if that'll work.
Oh, it's thinning out back here. There's a reason why, like, I put this head part here.
I
Marat,
think it's a wig.
you have the floor.
It's not a wig.
Oh, sorry.
We would love for you to you have full reign. Go ahead, talk about your career, what you've got going on, shamelessly promote everything you want, and when you run out of words, we'll hopefully have some questions for you, okay?
All right. Well, I'll shamelessly plug, since it's such an easy tie into what John just said. I have my company, Counterpoint Comics. We have a book called Naughty and Nice, and we do a lot of cosplay covers. And one of the things that we just dropped yesterday was the Fatally Flawless set, which is a 10 set a set of variants with 10 cosplays of Mortal Kombat characters.
Oh, cool.
So the artists are myself, because I'm the cheapest I could find. Ebass, Eric Basildua, Mike DeBalfo, Ryan Kincaid, L.A. Garza, Alex Kotkin, young lady named Marissa Pope, Sajad Shah, Adalso Corona, Elias Chadzudis. I believe that's 10. So that's at counterpointcomics.com. That's my cheap plug. And that's the Mortal Kombat tie-in.
That's awesome.
But they're great covers. I mean, the cool thing when you get like that kind of list of talent together is I tell everybody nobody wanted to be the ugly kid in class. So everybody kind of brought their A game because nobody wanted to have the bad cover in the lot. So it's a beautiful set, and some of the best colorists in the industry colored him. Sanjun Nivangun, who I call the cheat code, because he literally makes everybody look twice as good as they really are. He's absolutely phenomenal. And Ivan Nunes, who's another guy who just takes whatever you do and elevates it. And Juan Fernandez, who colors Ken Lashley over at Marvel. He did a fantastic job. And Gwen Delageo, she's French. So I try to pronounce it properly. She did an amazing job on Marissa's cover. So even though we're sexifying women and selling sexy chicks, we got two girls doing it. So
All right.
we're not
You're
bad.
There's nothing wrong with
them.
sexy chicks.
Yep.
I don't.
And Marat, tell them about your exclusive 11th cover, because that thing is beautiful. Like the 10 are all 10s, but that number 11.
So Mike DeBalfo, who is a huge Mortal Kombat fan, actually called me up and he's like, "I want to do 2 covers." And I said, "Mike, that kind of throws everything off. We have a set of 10." So we came up with taking his second cover and making it the hard to find chase variant, which you can only get in one of every 5 sets. So it's a blind pull, as I've told everybody. You might order 1 set and get it. You might order 10 sets and not get one. I'm literally just putting them together, throwing them in the pack, and then shipping them. So I won't know who gets what. And it's it's Mike's Scorpion cosplay. So it's already starting to get heat. Somebody told me they somebody has it up for $100. I was like, well, that's interesting because nobody's officially gotten one yet.
Right.
They're already trying to sell for 100. So, good luck. I mean, But yeah, so that Scorpion cover, it's pretty Mike. Like I said, Mike's a huge Mortal Kombat fan, so he really brought his A game. And I believe Elias Chadzidius with his Raiden cover, he was the first one to submit the cover. And once we saw that, we were like, oh, damn it. Like whatever we were doing, we now had to ratchet it up a little bit. So I'm super proud of it as a set. If you're into, cheesecake, bad girl type art, this is 10 beautiful illustrations by some of the best. My closest buddies in the industry are Sajjad Shah, Adalso Corona, and Ryan Kincaid. So it's always cool to be able to work with them. And like I said, Ebass, who's absolutely phenomenal, Mike, everybody just absolutely killed it. So that's my plug. That's my cheap plug.
Perfect. Now tell us about you and your career and how you got started and whatever you want.
Oh man, you and I go way back, right, buddy?
My God, yeah. Like over 20 years, because the first piece of yours that I got the honor and privilege to publish was on the back cover of Sniper and Rook #3, because I didn't want to throw any logos on it, and I was like, perfect. So yeah, we've known each other for a long time, and you're a good guy. I've always loved to see like when you're hitting it big, and with your Do You Poo series, that's a fan favorite, and yeah, and you've got some great stuff there.
Yeah, well, I'm having as much fun as I've ever had, so kind of cool to, anybody who's followed my career and those who haven't, being the first Image Comics rookie, excuse me. I started off kind of in a great spot, doing really well, being on a super popular book, getting a lot of name recognition early on, making, really good money for a kid that was 19, doing fantastic. So not ever thinking there's going to be a down period. And then, went through the normal freelance, you're up, you're down, to the point where my mom was like, hey, buddy, you've lived your dream. Maybe it's time to go get a real job now. Like, that conversation. And I actually thought about it probably about 10 years ago. I had a buddy of mine whose dad runs a airplane part refurbishing company, and me and Mike had talked, and he's like, all right, whenever you're ready, I think you'll be good at this. You know how to talk to people, and I think you can make a good salesperson. So, if you're ready to do it, let's do it. And thankfully, I just couldn't, because I don't think I'm cut out to do anything but this. So, I was like, I'll stick with it. And I was lucky enough to stick with it and get a few lucky breaks. And like you said, between Naughty and Nice and Do You Poo, we kind of had a good foundation for this little publishing company that I started, which really was never meant to be a real publishing company. It was just kind of, I had to get these books published under something. And since it was my thing, I just kind of went, neither one of these books that kind of became the tentpoles were ever meant to actually last long. They were both like, well, if I can make a few more bucks at a convention, this is great. And then they just kind of took off, and, Naughty and Nice, I think we're going on 9 years, I believe, 2013. So yeah, 8 years. And then same thing with the Pooh book. I just thought it was going to be a funny little goofy thing that I do with a couple of buddies of mine, and then it took off. And every time we did a cover, I always thought like, that's cute. Like they've had enough. Like this will be the one that people go, all right, we've seen it. It's cool. It's funny. Let's move on to the next thing. But every time we did a new cover, somebody we'd sell out, and somebody go, well, what about this one? And I go, oh, sweet. Like I enjoy doing these, and they're fun. So, just kind of grew and grew and grew till one day I was like, oh shit, I have a real company that I have to run now. Like, never really expected this to happen. So, just blessed and thankful. And like I said, it's nice when you kind of start off towards the top and then kind of, I don't want to say bottom out, because I've been blessed to at least make enough to pay rent my whole career, but to kind of get back on the upside and be as successful as I've ever been in my career towards the back end is really a blessing that not all of us get. So,
would you mind walking folks through kind of like your very beginnings? Obviously, we mentioned Brigade, your beginnings, opportunities that you had, things that you did, maybe things that you wish you did, but you're like, you went left instead of right, or vice versa.
Oh, I mean, this, John.
Exactly. What does a rookie mean? What do you mean by a rookie?
Those
of us that may be out there that don't know.
So you had the Image founders, right? Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Mark Silvestri, Wills Portacio, Jim Valentino, and Eric Larson. I was the first guy outside of those 7 guys to do a book. So, and it was my first real job. I've had a few gigs before then, but they were either ghost jobs or designing some stuff for other companies. So I was literally the first non-founder to have a book come out, which is just insane when you're thinking you're like 19, completely wet behind the ears, and here you are. I've told this story a couple of times. Me and Norm Rapmond, who was the inker on Brigade, the day Brigade came out, we were driving to do a store signing, and we get to the store, and there's like 200 people standing outside in a line around the block. And me and Norm look at each other and we're like, oh, we wonder who else is signing here, because it never even dawned on us that it could possibly be for us, because we're 2 unknowns. But that's just how hot Image Comics was. And we came into the back of the store and we asked the store owner, we're like, who else is here? Who are all these people here for? And he just started laughing at us. And so yeah, that's the first. A rookie was the first guy outside of the 7 founders to have a book. And I got into Image. It just completely like right place, right time. When I was 12 years old, I went to a local comic convention in Southern California, and I happened to meet a 16-year-old Rob Liefeld. And him and I kind of started talking a little bit, didn't get super close, but as the years progressed and we'd see each other at a few shows, we got closer and closer. He wound up, getting professional work, and he got a studio with Jim Valentino. And they started inviting me and another buddy of mine up to the studio to kind of learn us, and it was very cool for 2 guys who wanted to break into the industry to be able to go sit down with guys that are obviously, Jim Valentino was, I believe, starting on Guardians of the Galaxy, and Rob was finishing up Hawk and Dove and starting on his Marvel stuff. And so me and Rob really kind of became buds. And when I graduated high school, he was like, I need an assistant. Do you want the job? And an assistant's job doesn't pay well. Ask any assistant. So it wasn't a really well-paying job, but I took it. I drove from Los Angeles to Orange County 4 days a week. Spent probably 3-4 hours on the road. Did my duty as an assistant, then went and worked as a video clerk at night, just to make sure I can pay my car note and my insurance and stuff. But I knew it was like a great opportunity to get my foot into the door. And we got to the point where Bob Harris, who was Rob's editor on New Mutants and X-Force, I talked to him more than Rob did because, if Rob was behind on deadlines or he didn't want to talk to Bob, it was always, Marat, answer the phone. Tell Bob pages are on the way. So, I struck up a friendship with Bob. I was able to go visit the Marvel offices, which, again, I was, 18 years old, fresh out of high school. So those are amazing opportunities for a comic book fan. I went when Rob shot his Levi's commercial. I hung out with Spike Lee on set and stuff like that. It's just a phenomenal opportunity. And then when they were starting to put Image together, I was like, "Hey, you want to draw this book for me? I think you're ready." And I jumped at it, and there was no page rate. It was basically like, "Look, if I make money, you're going to make money. But if this book, bombs, then you got some experience and you got a book published." And which I jumped at. I was like, I've always understood. For me personally, I think opportunities are bigger than paychecks. I think paychecks come, and I understand we all need to pay our bills and we all want to make money. I'm definitely a guy who enjoys being successful and having financial security. So I never bemoan that when people are after the paycheck. But I always just think sometimes opportunities take you farther a lot more. I'm a big believer there's short money and there's long money. And short money is always easier and always feels better. But a lot of times long money is way better. And so I jumped at the opportunity, and that first paycheck for a 19-year-old kid was a holy cow moment for my mom.
Mhm.
And I brought that home, and she was like, "Is this for the year?" And I was like, "No, this is for one book, Mom." And she was like, "You're 19 years old. 19-year-olds get these kind of checks." I was like, "I know."
What are you doing? What are you really doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, she already had a few questions. Me and Rob always laugh about this because Rob was, 4 years my senior. So if I'm 19, he's 23 or going on 23. And all of a sudden, I come home one day. I'm still living with my parents at the time. And, I come home and I start packing. And my mom was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "I'm going to New York with Rob." And she was like, "What? You guys are going to New York?" I was like, "Yeah, Rob is shooting this commercial. We're going to go visit Marvel." And she sits me down and she was like, "I love you and I don't care. I never thought you were. And it's okay if you are. But are you gay? Is Rob your mother?" And we just, I started laughing. And when I told Rob, we both just couldn't, stop laughing. But I can see how to a mother, all of a sudden, your kid is going off with another young man, on a getaway trip or two to New York City, So there was some explaining I had to do during times, but I was blessed with I believe it's X-Force number 5. It was a blessing and a curse because I penciled have that issue over Rob's layouts, and then Rob came in and did the inks. And I was supposed to get full credit. I saw, at that time, everything was done by fax. I saw the fax Rob sent over to Bob Harris, where he said, "This is another guy named Brian Murray, also helped pencil the other half of the book." And Rob was like, "This is the way the credits should read." And Bob was like, "No problem." And I talked to Bob. I was like, "My name's in the book." And Bob was like, "Yeah, your name's in the book." It's like, sweet. And at that time, New Comics came out on Friday. And I told all my friends, "I've made it. I made the big time. I penciled half of X-Force 5. My name's in the credits." Everybody's like, "Sure, buddy, sure." And I was like, you'll see this Friday." And Friday comes and I'm at the store, doors open. I run in, I pick up that book, and Like as sad as I think I've ever been to that point. And I was like, oh shit. Like not only is my name not in it, but like now I gotta hear it from all these guys who already said I was full of shit. And now I look like I am. But the royalty check from that, which Rob was very very happy to share in all the success he was having from the financial standpoint. And I think I did was about 10 pages. And the royalty check for that, and again, this is probably about 6 months out of high school when I'm working on this, maybe 9. It completely like took me out of debt because I had to deal with my parents. You got 1 year to make it in this business, or you have to move out the house. Because my mom was like, "You're not going to be making $100 a week, and tell me this is your career." Like, it's like you're going to junior college because Lord knows my grades weren't good enough for any real college. So, yeah, that check kind of quieted her for a little bit, and then the brigade check, she was like, "All right, I'm out. Like, whatever you do, I trust you." So I've been blessed from early on, but when the mid-90s came, and I also goofed around for a couple of years in the mid-90s. I kind of had my college years a little later. When you look at your yearly income and a whole zero is missing, you're like, oh,
yeah,
that's not what I ever expected, 3-4 years into the business. So, I did that, and then I got into I did some independent stuff. I did a couple of books at Image Comics on my own towards the late 90s, early 2000s. And then it was just kind of, I did a bunch of, I started my own graphic design company for a while, and we were doing like club flyers and menus and stuff like that. And, but I couldn't keep my toe out of the comic book world. Like that's where my love is. That's where my passion is. That's where I feel most comfortable. And, there was ups and downs. I had a little run on Deadpool. That was nice. Then I did Grifter over at DC, and it was cool, but like it was kind of eye-opening how much the industry changed. I did a 4 or 5 issue run on Grifter, and this is during the New 52, and I was at a convention, and a guy walks up to me. He's like, "Oh, Marat Mychaels, I remember you from the early Image days." I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And what are you doing now? And I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing Grifter." And I thought the guy would know because the New 52 was such a big deal. And I was like, "Oh, is Wildstorm still publishing Grifter?" And I was like, this guy had no idea that Wildstorm was no longer at Image, and like none of that stuff. But it was eye-opening in a good way. And also, I knew there was a glass ceiling at DC for me. Like I was gonna make, I'll make no qualms about it. I was gonna make about $4,000, $4,500 a month if I was on a monthly book, and that was my glass ceiling. And maybe I can pick up a few commissions on the side, but when you're on a monthly, you don't really have a lot of time for that. And maybe I can do a convention or two. And I was just like, you know what? I'll get on the con circuit and see. That was starting to really heat up, and I was like, I'll get on the con circuit and see what I can do there. And once the first convention I did, I remember pulling up and paying $12 for parking and going, damn it, now I have to make $12 just to break even. And I made I think $300 that weekend because I was so I didn't know what product to have and all that kind of stuff, because I'd only done conventions pretty much as a guest at that point, or just come hang out, have fun, see a few people. Maybe somebody like John would walk up and they'd ask for a commission, but outside of that, I've never done them as specifically to make money, as part of my income. And so there was a little bit of trial and error, but 300 turned into 600, then turned into making 800 a couple of shows. And I was like, all right, if I do 3 or 4 shows a month, I'm starting to get close to DC, but it's not taking up 14-hour days. I can actually have some me time. And then I remember I broke 1,000 at one show, and I was like, "Oh my God, you can make $1,000 at a convention!" Like, holy cow! And then it just grew from there. And like I said, the book started taking off, and here I am. So
That
feel very blessed.
That's awesome. I don't want to jump in. I know John. I think John had some other questions and stuff to say. So John, thoughts, questions?
Not so much questions. Well, yeah, thoughts. With going back to the X-Force issue, Marat. Because until I met Terry, we have a mutual friend, Terry, that, is much more Marat's friend. I get to see him at cons from time to time. Until I met Terry, I thought I was, like, the biggest Rob fan in, like, the world. Then I met Terry, and he totally outclassed me on that. But when that issue of X-Force dropped, I knew that wasn't all Rob art. And I'm like, this looks different. And then when I saw your stuff with Brigade, I'm like, that's the... so you mentioned about the credits not being in there. It's kind of cool to be able to see your stuff.
Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. I didn't get that.
Before I realized
John,
I was from that issue recently. Hold on 1 second. All right, let me see if I kill video. Does that do any better?
You sound a little clear.
You sound good.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right, at least I'll go for the sound for now. But I was saying some of the pages came up for our auction on Heritage Auctions, so it's kind of cool to see the black and white line art on that. It's so cool to see, and I remember seeing your name in Spawn 6, I want to say, because you had a pin up in there too, and I'm like, wow, this guy is great, and it's really awesome as a fan and as a creator when you get to meet some of your heroes like you, and realize that they're cool people, not just awesome artists. So, that's always been very, very cool.
I appreciate that. I'm like that with George Perez. George Perez is one of my all-time favorite artists, and I've kind of gotten to be buddies with George on the convention circuit, and I was always just amazed by how great he is to his fans, and the feeling that I got every time I got to see George is kind of, look, first of all, I live by a rule: don't be a dick. Just treat people nicely and normally, in general. And then I'm relatively happy. I've gotten to be a kid my whole life. I've gotten to do what I wanted to do, most of my career. So in general, I'm in, pretty good spirits. But also, I realized that the same way I get giddy when I see George, it's the experience of meeting your hero or meeting somebody whose work you really like and appreciate, and who you've supported, whether it's been financially or emotionally by, enjoying their work so much and getting attached to it. And having that person be cool just adds to the experience. So I appreciate that. That's the, the reaction you have and feelings that you walked away with. You met me when I was super shy, so I was a lot more introverted.
Yes.
So
you've definitely come into your own.
Yeah, so and that can come off as being aloof or disinterested, but honestly, when I started conventions, even I kind of sat there, and as people walked by, I'd be like, well, if they know who I am and they want something from me, they'll walk up to my table. Until one day I realized, that person was a lot more intimidated in the aisle looking at anybody sitting at a table than the person at the table looking at anybody walking in the aisle. Like, right. You're the special one, to somebody. So I just kind of started forcing myself to make them feel more comfortable by saying hi first and asking how you're doing. Because, again, it was very unnatural for me. Now it's, good luck shutting me up. So, but that's and I want everybody to walk away. I've had very pleasant experiences with a lot of people. I've had some crappy experiences with some creators, and I've just walked away being just a person. You just get to do something that we all love. Like, you're not special. Like, I've walked down the street with tons of guys that are megastars in the industry, and nobody knows who they are once they walk out of that convention center. There's only been 2 guys in my life that people have recognized on the street, and one of them created The Walking Dead, and the other one created Deadpool. So, and they both have high profile, like, they're at Hollywood premieres, they're on TV. Yeah. People know who they are. But outside of those 2 guys, I've been on the street with, Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane, and if it's not a comic fan, they don't know who those guys are. And so, and those guys aren't the guys I'm talking about with the bad experiences. But it's just like, say thanks, say things that you get to do this for a living, and make people feel good about meeting you, and walk away with a good experience, and try to, and me and George have discussed this, because I've always told him how much I appreciate how he acts and treats his fans, and he's always kind of told me, like, that's the way you should be. And he's seen me at shows, and he's complimented me. He's like, people walk away from your table and they have smiles on their faces. And also, I'm like everybody else. If you're an ass, but you do work that I like, I'll buy your product, but I'll buy it like I want it. But if you're a cool person and I like your work, I'm like, here, take my money. Like, I want to support you. I want this awesome work that you're producing, but I'm also glad that this money is going to you, as opposed to some douchebag who, acts like he's, way more special than he is. Yeah. So I want everybody walking away from my table, to be as happy as possible, or from meeting me, it's a job, and sometimes people get angry, like, I can't believe you charge this much for this book, or this is how much your commissions are, or I can't believe there's a signature fee, whatever people get agitated by. But overall, I think if you come hang out, you're gonna walk away being pretty happy with the experience, and that's I feel that's part of your job.
Yeah, Marat, keeping on the convention
with
theme. Oh. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was going to say, keeping on the convention theme, what's some advice do you have, like, etiquette wise, for people showing up at tables for fans? I mean, what's a great way to say to introduce themselves, and go ahead.
It's the same way, like, I'll walk up to other creators and, say hi. And, the one thing I do want, fans should know is, just because you interact with somebody online doesn't mean they automatically know you person. Because first of all, I've had people who, like, walk up and go, I'm Bob. And I'm like, okay. And then he goes, I'm Shadow Swift online. I'm like, oh, how the hell would I know what your real name is? You're Shadow Swift. And how do I know what you look like? Because you have, some symbol as your icon. So it's like, that's something that a lot of fans, and I run into this a lot, and I know a lot of my buddies in the industry do, like, and then, like, if you don't know who they are, some get offended. And it's like, dude, you don't use your real name. You don't have a real picture. You have a freaking picture of Superman as your, as your avatar. Like, how am I supposed to know who you are? So that's one thing. Like, realize that we don't always know who you are. Right. And the other thing too is, like, you can't be offended. Sometimes, you meet so many people, you don't remember everybody specifically. I've had people tell me that, like, oh yeah, I met you like 10 years ago. Well, I met, thousands of people. Like, not that I'm not trying to remember everybody and not, try to interact with everybody, but you met 1/10 the people I've met in that time. So and I'm here on the totem pole. There's some guys that meet so many more fans than I do. So that's definitely something that fans should think about. And then after that, it's like the simple stuff our moms or dads or grandmas taught us, like, just be cordial and respectful, and that's just normal. Like, again, don't be a douche.
Yeah, we talked a couple weeks ago. We had a long. Our topic was professionalism, and even if the person you're interacting with, you don't care for that person, do not burn a bridge. Don't be a jackass. I think that's some of the best advice you can give, especially in an industry like this, where, I mean, the names you've just rattled off, you've worked on a project for a little while, and then that person's worked on that project with somebody else, and somebody else, and somebody else, and there's not very many degrees of separation in this industry, where if you become that guy, you're going to be that guy, and that can be a career killer.
Yeah, so here's a funny story. I won't name names, but he was one of my studio mates, and he was on the tour with Joe Quesada when Joe Quesada was working for Valiant, and they got into a little playful, but a little kind of, I don't want to say argument, but they weren't on the greatest terms coming out of that tour. And, and 5 years later, maybe 6 years later, whatever it was, Joe Quesada is the editor-in-chief at Marvel.
Yeah.
Needless to say, that buddy did not get work there.
Yeah.
When Joe was there. So my whole thing was like, you never know. Like, you never know the person you're, burning a bridge with or pissing off, what they're going to be, a couple of years from now. They might be the guy that can, be your boss or give you the job you want. And again, it goes back to just act right. But, who would have thought in 1994 that Joe Quesada would be running Marvel in 2003 or whatever the year he took over was? I can tell you, nobody, including Joe.
Yeah,
Joe, never thought that.
Jimmy did. Jimmy Palmiotti did. That's it.
Yeah,
His buddy. Yeah.
Good for Jimmy. If he knew, he should bet on the next 10 Super Bowls and become a bazillionaire. If his prognostication skills are that good.
So what's we can keep talking, but what's the biggest piece of advice you can give to anybody wanting to get into the industry?
Well, I mean, everybody says this, but when you're getting your work critiqued, listen to what they're saying. Some people have better delivery than others. I was 16 years old the first time I showed my portfolio, and I thought I was about to get hired in my mind. Yeah. I was ready for the big time, and Ralph Macchio, who was the editor at Marvel, man, I had to fight back my tears. Like, as a 16-year-old kid, you talk about somebody just, his delivery was rough. Everything he said was true. There was great lessons in it, but man, his delivery was rough. And Brian Stelfreeze, who was sitting right next to him, this was San Diego Comic-Con, saw that this 16-year-old kid was about to cry. He pulled me aside and he asked to see my portfolio, and he gave me some really, great advice. But he was a lot more complimentary, and his delivery was a lot nicer and softer. And while one probably made me want to throw my portfolio and pencils into the trash, the other one kind of inspired me to just get better. But both had great points. You have to have tough skin.
Yeah.
You have to have tough skin. Because even if you make it, I mean, look, we'll talk about Rob. Like, I mean, that guy has had a career that most comic creators would die for. There's very few, whether you like or don't like his work, that have been as successful as he has and have reached the levels he has. But look at how much crap people talk about him. And, and it's one of those things where he has tough skin, and he doesn't let it get to him. But I'm like, so no matter what level you achieve, somebody somewhere, especially now with the internet where everybody's very tough behind a keyboard, it's easy to say whatever you want to say. And sit back and chuckle with your buddies and think you're cool. And it's like, yeah, cool. You're great. You're funny. You made a joke. Ha. Yeah, my work sucks. I'm always like, well, I create work for my fans. If they like it, that's who it's there for. Those that don't like it, don't like it. I don't like everything. I went to the comic book store, New Comic Book Day today, and I didn't buy a book because nothing spoke to me. It doesn't mean all that stuff sucks. It just wasn't my cup of tea. So as somebody breaking in, realize there's going to be moments where people are going to say some really hateful stuff towards you, and you just kind of have to go, okay, cool. So you got to be ready for that. Listen to that advice. None of us are ever as good as we think we are. So you can always stand to improve. I feel like I'm getting better all the time. That's because I'm not satisfied with my work. I always think I got to level up and be better and get to the next level. And that's always always kind of keep that drive going. Always understand you can improve whatever it is that you do. There's always room. And again, like I said earlier, sometimes opportunities are bigger than paychecks. And again, I get it. We all have bills, but like I told you guys, I would drive 90 minutes to 2 hours depending on traffic one way, do my day with Rob at about 6. I would drive home and do an 8 to 12 shift at a video store to make sure I can pay my bills. But I knew that opportunity was too good to pass up.
Yep.
My foot in the door was better than any paycheck I could make. And then again, when you get your foot in the door, it's also about career management. Not all jobs are good jobs. I've learned that the hard way. I've taken on some jobs where I've been like, this was a bad choice. I made a bad decision. You have to be careful at how you manage your career and then just find your place. Look, when I was a kid, I didn't want to draw hot chicks or funny animals because I like drawing guys, punching each other. That was what I like. I grew up on the X-Men and Teen Titans and John Byrne, George Perez, books with lots of action and power, and that's what kind of I gravitated towards. And I didn't like drawing funny animals, and I didn't like drawing girls because I wasn't good at it. And like now, it's pretty much what I do all the time. I'm either drawing poo or naughty and nice or some along those lines. And that's because I just kind of went, you know what? Instead of fighting against the current, this is what people want from me. This is where I fit in right now, and this is what I'm going to do. And I'll have time to do the other stuff down the line when the right opportunity comes along. And now I'm in a good position where I'm like, okay, well, the poo stuff and the naughty and nice stuff, that kind of helps pay the bills. So I can put out a couple of projects that are more passion projects and hope they succeed and hope people gravitate towards them. But I'm in a good position where even if they fail, I can take that failure, from a business standpoint and, not put my family in any kind of financial jeopardy. But that wasn't always the case. And I realized, what people want from me, what people are looking for me to give them. And I just decided I'm going to cater to my base and give them what they want, and I enjoy doing it now. So that helps too.
So next question. What advice now, I know you're not always able to pick the projects you like, but when you're able to pick collaboration with a writer, and I'm a writer, I said I can't draw at all. What, I don't mean necessarily genre or story, I know that's important, but what else are you looking for when someone wants to collaborate, or what would you be looking for in that collaboration?
I mean, first of all, to me, it's like, comic books are languages. and there's different languages in the genre. Whoever I work with, him and I should be speaking the same language. When we start vibing, if he wants to tell a story where it's two guys walking down the street, having an in-depth conversation for 20 pages, and there's guys who want to do that, guys who are excellent at that, the interaction, character development, all that kind of stuff. And there's artists who draw that phenomenon, they draw great, backgrounds. They're great at settings and, drawing average people. That's not my cup of tea. So I want a writer who's going to let me flex what I do well, and and kind of go like. And usually it's like if I go, hey, what's your favorite comic as a kid? And they go, oh, I loved Watchmen, which I love as a fan. I go, yeah, that's probably what your style is geared towards, and that's not what I'm good at or what I want to do. Brilliant. It's just not what I want to do or what I'm going to be, jazzed by. Or if he goes, oh, I loved, whatever it is, Jim Lee's run on the X-Men, or, George Perez on Teen Titans with Marv Wolfman. Like, I'm like, you want to create the kind of comic books I want to be part of. So that's, to me, when I look for anybody to collaborate, that's the thing. You have to speak the same language. It's, it's kind of like styles. When I worked on Grifter, the inker that was on the book, who was very talented, but his style didn't mesh with mine at all. And I knew that from the get-go. The first couple of pages, I was like, this is just not working. Like, he doesn't speak my language. The lines I'm putting down, he's, defining them in a way that I never meant for them to be defined. I talked to my editor and I was like, maybe we get another inker. I think the book would be better. And, he's like, look, this book's, you're just finishing off the run. It's 4 issues. We already know the book is canceled. So I don't want to, take a job away from that guy. And I understood that, from a personal standpoint, but from a creative standpoint, I was like, well, I have a buddy of mine who's working, at DC. So can we get him just to ink a couple of the really good pages on the last issue? And my editor was like, you've been a good hand. You've hit your deadlines. You've dealt with all the crap that, has come with this, because there was a lot of turmoil at DC at the time. And so the 2 pages, a guy named Jaime Mendoza inked in the last issue. Jaime, who was a former Extreme Studios buddy of mine over at Image Comics, and he had inked a lot of, a lot of stuff over at DC and Marvel. So Jaime inks these 2 pages, and I get a call from my editor, and those pages came in, and they were colored up, and he goes, hey, man, I think you're doing your best stuff on this last issue. These 2 pages are phenomenal. And I was like, no, this is the quality of work I have been. It's just a guy who understood my comic book language. And we spoke the same language, and he can pull it off. And you're seeing the results. So going back to the writer, it's the same thing. The writer, either the writer has to write for his artist or get the artist that fits what he's writing. And you see all the best, all the best tandems, if you put, Jim Lee on Watchmen, it wouldn't have worked. Right. As phenomenal as Jim is, it wouldn't have worked, because he couldn't pull off what Dave Gibbons pulled off. Very few could. It was a perfect mesh of styles. Alan's writing and Dave Gibbons' art worked together. It was perfect. And I don't think anybody would argue how phenomenally good Jim Lee is as a comic artist. Even in his heyday, he wouldn't have pulled off Watchmen. It would not be as revered. We wouldn't look at it the same way. Again, 2 different styles. But you put Chris Claremont and John Byrne together, and it's magic. You put George and Marv, it's magic. So again, that's the thing. Definitely styles that mesh.
We also have a question from the Facebook chat. if I can interject, Scott. This one, I'm going to kind of paraphrase it for you, Wubba. This is from a guy named Wubba. Who are some of the guys who inspired you during the Extreme Studios days?
Well, I was a huge Mark Silvestri fan. I was probably I was an 80s kid. So the guys who I really was into were the same guys that were influencing Rob and Todd and Eric and, Jim. And as much as I loved, their work, I didn't have that passion for it like I had for John Byrne and Art Adams and George Perez. So, but Mark was a guy who I loved way before I even started working as Rob's assistant. So he was kind of a little older than the rest of them as far as his time in the industry, and his work just spoke to me. So Mark was the guy I idolized. I looked and was influenced by Jim and Bob. It's obvious, and those Brigade issues and a lot of my early image work. But Mark was the guy that was like, when he did something, I was like, that's like the greatest thing ever, some of the fellow studio guys that we had, guys like Chappie Ape and Jeff Matsuda, and it was cool because we all were influenced by everything around us. So it's like you'd come in and Jeff was doing like little gleams, and you'd go, "Oh, I love the way Jeff does gleams. I want to put that in my work." But that was everybody. Like all of a sudden, Rob is doing Matsuda gleams, and I'm doing Matsuda gleams, and Frege and Chap were all doing these, these gleams that Jeff was, really great at, or Stephen Plaid did these bullet holes, and then all of a sudden those Plaid bullet holes were on everything, not only in our studio, you can see it at Wildstorm and Top Cow. So it was cool to see, you were pulling from everybody because everybody kind of wanted, all the cool stuff in their work. And, it went through the filter. I look back and I go, holy crap. Like I loved Simon Bisley. So I loved how big the arms were and how small the heads were. But I was like, at some point, somebody should have told me, like, these heads are way too small and these arms are way too big. Like back then, I thought it was just really stylized, and clearly it is. But I was like, man, sometimes you have to let the bucking bronco buck, but sometimes you have to rein them in a little bit and go, So I, we were influenced by each other, by the other studios. There was definitely it became a lot more friendlier in the beginning, though. It was almost like, gang fights with pencils. Extreme is going to take down Wildstorm. Wildstorm's taking down Extreme. Top Cow's taking them both down. That was kind of our attitude, because the studio heads, Rob, Jim, Todd didn't really have a studio system, but Rob, Jim, Mark, they were so competitive. It just kind of, we were like, well, we're supposed to be as competitive with those guys, About 2 years in, I became more social with a lot of the guys. We started, playing some sports together, and, you go we're all kind of the same. We're all just, 20-something comic book fans who are on this amazing ride. We just happen to be in different boxcars. We're all on the same train. And we, I became buddies with a lot of the guys, and even like me and Brett Booth, because we were kind of some of the early on studio guys. Me and Brett, and Brett's a super quiet guy. So while I've gotten out of my shell, Brett still hasn't. He's very introverted, and two introverted guys never talk. And then probably about 4 or 5 years ago, through Norm Rappman, we were hanging out after a convention in Norm's hotel room, doing commissions, and Brett and I started talking, and I was like, "Holy crap!" When I was telling about styles and likes, we were talking about the exact same stuff, and we had the exact same kind of passion for it, and we liked the exact same things and the exact same art and the exact same artists, and I was like, "Holy crap!" We we should have been talking like this for 20 years, you know. When I was sitting there in John Brigade and Brett was doing was a Wild Guard or whatever his first book, at DC was. We should have been on the phone, just kind of going back and forth and inspiring each other and having a friendly rivalry. And we lost probably 20 years before we found out, hey, we kind of liked each other. Like we never disliked each other really. So that was definitely a fun thing to discover and make friends with guys who in the beginning you were like, well, I wanted the wrong color, so you can't be their bud,
So, hey, we're getting towards the end of our show here, and I don't want to cut you short. But before we go, thoughts on the future of the industry, of the big guys and the little guys, and if I don't know if you have thoughts on that matter. If you've given it thought, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So I think it's a fantastic time for independent creators. Things like Kickstarter and Indiegogo are a fantastic way for you to basically reach your fans directly. I think the market's way more open to it now, especially with Marvel and DC being more driven by studio decisions than comic book decisions. I think it's turned off a lot of fans. I think a lot of us buy stuff. I go pick up books and I go, it's the new Batman book. I should buy that. I like Batman. Batman's a great book, but just using that as an example. There's some books I think I buy out of habit as much as anything because I haven't enjoyed them for years. I think that's a problem, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not concerned about Marvel and DC, but meeting more and more fans. There's a lot of them, and maybe I'm obviously meeting the ones who are kind of over the Marvel and DC and the stuff, and they are more excited by the indies. So I'm obviously kind of the Marvel zombie and the DC fanatic. They're still there. I don't meet those guys, but I tend to see more and more people like the indie stuff. And we just did a Naughty and Nice Kickstarter, and it was the highest Kickstarter we've ever done by not only was it about 30,000 more than our previous one, but we also probably exceeded by 300 backers. So you go from a high of whatever it was 405 or something to being almost at 800. You go like, there's definitely, the market is growing. It's not just me. I see it with everybody, all my contemporaries, all the guys who are kind of in the same circle. Everybody's doing better. People might not like it, but we kind of live in a variant cover world right now. And I think part of that is because I've said this a couple of times. I don't think there's ever been more talented illustrators in the industry than there are right now, and fewer good comic book artists. There's a difference. Drawing something great is phenomenal, but for me personally, and you guys could all be different. If somebody draws a fantastic city with every little detail, it's stunning. But I can look at a photograph. What I can't look at a photograph of is, freaking the Flash, moving at super speed, tackling Captain Cold or whatever. I can't see that. You can't give me a photograph of that. Yeah, you can give me a still from a movie, but that's the thing. I'll never see Galactus coming to Earth with Silver Surfer by his side in a photograph. But somebody drawing that spectacularly and connecting and giving me cool line art to look at, photorealism, I'm not spectacularly good at it, so I appreciate it when I see it and I'm inspired and impressed by it. But comics are supposed to make you feel something. And if you don't have something beyond the good illustration that connects with people, you're not speaking the comic book language. And so I think there's a lot of people who don't understand how to speak the comic book language. And so you kind of get comics that are a little stale, or, also digital. As phenomenal as an iPad is, or, Surface Pro or whatever, and I use those tools. When you go digital, you can only get so much style out of it. So you see a lot of guys who kind of have the same kind of line quality and have a similar style, and it's because they're all working on this, piece of equipment that only allows you to do so much. So I think traditionally, you can give 20 guys a nib, and some ink, and you'll have 20 completely different lines. That's why guys like Scott Williams or Terry Austin or Klaus Janson stand out, because they use the same type of tools, but it's a completely different look. So I think variant covers, they speak to us. I think a lot of us as comic fans, we like, the hunt of like, oh, I don't have that issue. I want that. I want that in my collection. And a lot of times the covers are the thing. I mean, look, and grading's part of it. I go out and I get the issues, and I love my, slabs and my high grades, and I'll never open those up. I have stacks. You can kind of see it a little bit behind me. I have trades and trades and trades and trades, and I have more in storage and in my garage and stuff. I look at those all the time. I crack those open and I have my reader copies, but I love having my slabs that are encased, and I know it's a 9.2 or a 9.6 or a 5.0, whatever it is. And I go, I got it. It's secure. It's in my collection. And that's, variant covers speak that language. And, so I know a lot of the old school are like, it's going to ruin the industry. And I'm like, it's what's keeping the industry afloat. Like, because a lot of guys, like, we're not getting young fans. They're trickling in. It's guys like us. It's guys who, what I see a lot more, and even more so now during the pandemic, is guys who were into comics, and then they kind of had to let it go. They went to college, or they got married and they had kids. They had to focus on their career. They couldn't take the money to spend on books. The baby needed diapers. Then you have the college fund, so on and so forth. Well, now they're in their late 40s, mid 40s, 50s, and they kind of want to, it's like a comic book midlife crisis. Yeah. It's, and it's cool. Like, hey, I started collecting slabs about 5-6 years ago, and I was like, I'm just gonna get 3 or 4 9/8 of my favorite character. That didn't quite work out. But like, I don't understand like why you would put anything down that drives money back into the industry we love. Like, that's cool. You don't like variant covers? Dude, don't buy them. Go buy your, base book, and be happy with it. But don't worry about what I'm spending my money on. You think, slabs are ridiculous? You don't understand why somebody would take their book and put it in a plastic case? Cool. Don't do it.
Right.
But don't worry about how I spend my money. And don't worry about how, John spends his money or anybody else. Like, just be happy that that's coming back into our industry, and that's allowing the industry to thrive. And if it thrives, and what you like is going to continue to be published. We didn't have all these things in the early 2000s, and I can tell you because I was there with a lot of creators and a lot of editors and a lot of people, that were higher up in companies, where everybody was like, comics are gonna, be done in a year and a half. Like, everybody thought that was it. Yeah. Everything was going to go on Comixology. There was going to be no longer paper books, and luckily this industry thrived because we like stuff. We like tangible stuff. Yeah. It's cool. I can go, on and see an Amazing Fantasy 15 on the internet any day. I can make it my thing, saver, and I can have all that. I can have it on my phone. I can have it anywhere I want. But I want to own one, just because I want to say I own one of those books. I got to sell a lot more Naughty and Nice and, but and that's part of the passion. And I'm always like, buy what you like. When people go, it's not worth it, that's too expensive, that's not worth what they're trying to sell it for. It's like, makes you happy, who cares? Buy what you like, and if you like it, then it's worth it to you. I see, women. I'm blessed that my girl doesn't, but I see women going out buying $2,000-$3,000 purses, and I'm like, but it makes them happy. So if they spend $3,000 on a purse and they're happy, cool. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, but if I tell them I just spend $2,000 or $3,000 on a comic book, they look at me like I'm freaking nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that's, we have fans who are very, for some reason, this industry more than any other I've ever seen, we're very like, if I don't like it, you shouldn't like it either. Instead of teach their own, like, who cares? I always laugh when people are like, these books are stupid. No, they don't buy it. The next person is like, this is awesome. I love this. This is a mashup of my favorite things. So, I think the industry is in a good place. I think, in a weird way, I think the pandemic has kind of made people understand that the old ways don't work like they used to. I think people understand now they have to connect online. There's different ways. The old brick and mortar. I started learning that from Andy, my fiance. She's 13 years younger than me, and when we first got together and stuff, I was like, "Oh, you want me to take you to the mall? I'll buy you, a nice outfit or whatever." And she go, "I'll take it, but I'll just order it online." Yeah. And I was like, what? You don't want to go like to the mall and try it on and see how it fits? And she was like, "No, it gets sent, here, and I'm at home and I try it on, and if it fits, great, and if it doesn't, I just return it." And I was like, that's foreign to me, but that's But I learned, I was like, there's a generation that just wants stuff delivered to their door, and you have to. A lot of retailers during the pandemic learned you don't have any venue to sell your product because you don't have the infrastructure if it's not your mom and pop shop, your brick and mortar, or if you don't have a table at a convention. And it hurt a lot. While other retailers I know made a killing because they already had the Facebook groups and the live sales and the website and all that stuff. So in the pandemic kind of taught people, there's a new way people buy books. There's, they want to get them at their house, packed really nicely and perfectly mint condition. And, and if they see you at a show, great. But if not, some facilitator somewhere is going to be doing some, signing opportunity for, their favorite creators, and they'll send their books in, and the books will get shipped back to them, whether they had it slabbed or not, or whether it's raw. And, just understand that there's people who just want it that way. I'm looking forward to conventions now because I want to go back to shows to make money. I've been very fortunate how my business has gone in the last, couple of years, including last year. But I want to get out there. I actually enjoy meeting, people and shaking hands, so to speak, and kissing the babies, and I've never kissed a baby unless it was somebody in my family. He did that very appropriately. But I enjoy being around people. I enjoy being around other people in the industry, my friends, whether they're artists, creators, vendors that I've become buddies with, retailers, whomever. There's always going to be that, but I think you have to understand that this industry is constantly evolving. And again, tell my, artist buddies who are like, I need to get into Marvel and DC, and I go, for what? Well, that's the top of your game. I'm like, how about I tell you this guy who's worked at DC for 10 years, what he makes, and this guy who's never been published by DC or Marvel, than what he makes. Not again. I wanted to work for Marvel and DC. I got to do both. It wasn't the career I ever imagined as a kid at either one of those companies, but I understood, again, your path takes you different places, and now the opportunities are so much more. You never have to work in Marvel or DC, to be successful in this industry, and so I think that's a good thing. I think these, crowdfunding is great. Obviously, Peter Parker of it all. With great power comes great responsibility. When people give you their hard-earned money, deliver the product that you tell them you're going to deliver to them. And I think that'll stay strong as long as, people do that. And some of the bigger guys in the industry, that section of it, they pride themselves on delivering the product in a timely manner. There's always going to be, people who don't. And it's not always through bad intentions. I don't think they're like, I'm going to take people's money. But, it's funny. A lot of times I wouldn't take people's money until I was finished with a commission, because I know once the money's in my hand, the desire to do it is gone. There's nobody's wagging that carrot in front of me. So, it's sometimes it's kind of like not what anybody's intended. I think the industry's in a good place. I think there's a lot of ways, revenue streams. I think there's a lot of great things. There's opportunities. There's, like I said, there's people who want to go get a collection, just to have reader copies. There's people who want to upgrade their 7.0 to a 9.2 to a 9.6. So I think all that is good. We should appreciate all that stuff, even if you don't like it, even if you don't understand it, even if it doesn't speak to you. Who cares? Appreciate that these people are helping the industry be healthy. So I think we're in a good place.
Excellent. Hey, it is a little after 11 on the East Coast, and
you guys need Z's.
What's that?
You guys need to catch a few Z's.
Yeah. Well, this is where we usually wrap up, but before we do, first of all, thank you. I'm honored and humbled to have been on the same live stream as you and to learn from you. And I think I can speak for all the Silverliners, not just the folks that are here tonight, that we are very honored to have you on one of our shows. So
I do want to say it's real weird, even though I've been kind of quiet in the producer role. Yeah. But going from being the 10-year-old kid who's as a back to school gift, my dad got me X-Force Shatterstar as a trade paperback.
Nice.
And now I'm here. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
So yes, thank you. But before we wrap up, where can folks find you and what you have going on right now?
I'll pitch it again.
Yep.
Awesome, amazing Mortal Kombat cosplay set. You can find that at counterpointcomics.com. I am on Facebook, Marat Mychaels. I'm on Instagram, Marat1200, or Counterpoint Comics. We have both accounts on Instagram. And I'm on Twitter, but I don't tweet, so following me would be a complete waste of your time. So, don't do that. I'm readily available, and I try to, interact as much as I can. I try to answer people's questions and say hi back, and I probably will not have a full-blown, messenger conversation with you, but I'll try to respond.
Excellent. Well, I don't want to cut anybody off, but anything else before we go, guys?
Nothing from chat. Just Amy Stephanie saying, very cool. Have a great night. Catch you next week.
Yes, awesome.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much. We've been honored. It's been great. Thanks.
It's good seeing you.
Thanks for being on.
And I think we'll wrap the show. So don't forget that we are brought to you and sponsored by the Daytona Beach Comic Book Convention happening September 18th and 19th in Daytona Beach. And don't forget the Sunday night show is 9 to 11 East Coast, so Silverline Sunday. and all of us tonight, and I speak for Dean and Brent that they had to bounce a little early. Thank you for joining us. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for all of you out there. And as always, make mine Silverline. Thank you, everybody.